It's been 9 years since Superstorm Sandy devastated the tri-state area. Dozens of people were killed as our coastlines were battered, cities and towns crippled with massive flooding and power outages.
Today, we're taking a look back at Superstorm Sandy as it happened.
Now, I covered the storm on the Jersey Shore in Mobile 2 for 4 straight days. Now, it was the first real test for our Mobile 2 unit. The new technology allowed us to provide you an up-close, up-to-the-minute look at this monster of a storm that our area has still not fully recovered from. Here's a look at some of what we saw.
Hey guys, we're outside of our Mobile 2 unit for just a second so we can kind of give you the before, even though this storm is already well underway. We're on Salem Avenue right off of Ocean Boulevard here in Spring Lake right now. And this is, they call this the jewel of the Jersey Shore for one reason alone. It's this boardwalk. Everybody loves this boardwalk, and anybody who's been to Spring Lake down here at the beach area all the way through Belmar knows how pristine this is. Now, if you were with us last year, you know Hurricane Irene wiped out this entire boardwalk. About 1.5 miles of this boardwalk were totally eradicated by the storm surge. Now, even though I did say this is the befores because the conditions aren't as severe as they're going to be, about 6.5, 7 hours from now, you're going to experience a high tide. They moved away this one piece of the boardwalk to allow some of the payloaders to get to and from the beach when they were trying to build up the berm. That berm is now gone, and now we're just hours away from this surge that's basically going to make its way onto this area, breach this road, and then attack those homes on Ocean Avenue there. I want you to, if you can, Eddie, come with me for a second. Be careful here. We can take a look. You go under. I want you to see how perfect this boardwalk is right now. If you remember the pictures from Hurricane Irene, the storm surge came and basically took all the planks off their moorings, and it was one big wooden disaster. It looked like a bomb had blown up. Now, after a one-year project, over $1 million federal and local money, they've been able to fix the boardwalk, and right before this very important summer season, they were able to open things up, and you just see how perfectly straight and perfect it is right now. The big question will be, and this is what has so many people, so many officials here in Spring Lake worried, what condition will this boardwalk be in tomorrow? One of the things with Hurricane Irene, it was a sudden surge and then the water went back. Now what happened there, which was very key, is when this boardwalk was broken up, it wasn't swept out to sea. All of the pieces remained here on land, so they were able to salvage that, which helped in the rebuilding process. Right now, and I just talked with some Spring Lake police officers a moments ago, and they said, Chris, if you're going to be near that boardwalk, do it now, because it's going to get bad. It's going to get really bad. And right now, not to play devil's advocate, but most are feeling that this boardwalk is probably, even with all the new technology and the new engineers they brought in after Hurricane Irene, they feel this boardwalk is probably going to be swept out to sea. To be honest, to see that the ocean has totally, it's basically commandeered the whole beachfront at this point. If you turn this way into it, you can feel the breeze, which is upwards of probably 50, 60 miles an hour right now. But this is a situation, and again, if you look in the distance, you can see the waves. There are some waves out there right now that are over 20 feet high. They're just massive. We're not even at high tide yet. If you can see over my shoulder, we're at the Shark River Inlet here, right at the border of Belmar and Avon by the sea. Avon's on the other side, and you can see here the waves are crashing over here. This staircase, which used to lead you down, and the ocean has totally consumed the entire inlet. As you can see in the distance, there is no power anywhere. None of these municipalities have had power restored at this point. You can see some headlights in the distance, but that's about it for lights in this area. It is pitch black, and the aftermath is devastating. You see this street lamp right here. It wouldn't be doing anyone much good even if there was power, because that street lamp is in the street, just one of thousands and thousands of pieces of debris that have just littered Ocean Avenue here. You're probably saying, Chris, get off the beach. Well, we're not on the beach. This is actually Ocean Avenue. All of the sand from the beach has made its way not only here to this portion of Ocean Avenue, but at least another block west. Another block west to First Avenue, in some places all the way to Second Avenue. That's the storm surge, and that's the flow that came off with last night's high tide. I want you to look at this massive debris field behind me. This was not assembled by a payloader for cleanup. This is what Mother Nature did last night. churned up boardwalk, pieces of metal, wood, nails, you name it. This is a huge chunk of the boardwalk here that was literally lifted and then crashed down at this site, and this is where it comes to rest. And this is a scene that is played out all over the beaches here, not only the beaches, but also on Ocean Avenue. Some parts of this boardwalk were floating this morning in Wragge Pond, and they have now come to a stop 2.5 blocks west. 2.5 blocks west are pieces of this boardwalk, this pristine boardwalk that went through this revitalization after it was ruined by Hurricane Irene last year. Cost them over $1 million, took over 8 months to rebuild in time for summer. It was rebuilt, it was perfect, and now it's gone. Not just in portions like for Hurricane Irene, the entire boardwalk from South Pier Beach all the way down to Belmar. The entire thing is gone with the exception of the cement moorings. That's it. Otherwise, it's all a mess. If you look this way here, on the other side, you see this brick wall. On the other side of that brick wall is a pool club. For some reason, by the grace of God, this outer perimeter of the brick wall was able to withstand nature's force last night. The other side, closest to the beach, has been totally destroyed, like someone threw a grenade in front of a brick wall and it just blew up. There is a massive hole on the other side, a huge opening, all the refuse and debris right into the pool. The boardwalk is gone. That pavilion, the South Pavilion, needs thousands and thousands of dollars of reconstruction costs on top of the millions of dollars it's going to cost to replace and rebuild this boardwalk. It seems as though everything they try to do to make this a hurricane-proof boardwalk, nothing works. Last night when Sandy came on shore and we had high tide about 9 o'clock last night, this boardwalk didn't stand a chance, and this is your proof right here. Still in Mobile 2 here in Spring Lake, New Jersey, down at the Jersey Shore. They call this the jewel of the Jersey Shore, but as you can see, the road is littered with debris here. These are some of the back roads off of Ocean Avenue, which is the main thoroughfare down here in Spring Lake, and we have come up on another massive tree that has been uprooted and again fell in the right direction. I guess this is the good news, that these trees have fallen on the roads and not on homes. This did not take any power down. I'm going to get out of Mobile 2 here for a quick second just to kind of give you a little more perspective. The rain still coming down here, like Lonnie Quinn and John Elliott have been mentioning over these last couple of hours. This is not a quick storm that's going to come on shore and then all of a sudden go back out to sea. This is going to be some persistent rain, some persistent gusts of winds. We're still feeling some heavy-duty gusts here between 40 and 50 miles per hour. But you look at this widespread damage here. This is a massive 200-year-old tree. And you look at this root system. It was just, I mean, we're looking at about a 10 by 20-foot hole on the other side of that. The entire root system brought up along with the curb. And then you see this massive tree, which has fallen on these power lines over here right to the front of this house. This fellow is lucky that his car was parked 10 feet further away because it would have been right in the line of fire here. But this is what Spring Lake is going to be dealing with now for these next number of days, because this is just some of the interior damage. I keep mentioning the damage on Ocean Avenue, the entire boardwalk. Some of it, we were given reports, was swept out to sea, and they spent the last 13 months diligently trying to repair that boardwalk. It's the largest uninterrupted non-commercial boardwalk on the East Coast, and it's something the people of Spring Lake and Seagirt, Belmar are so proud of. And people during the summer months flocked to that boardwalk, and to see it destroyed by Hurricane Irene last year was devastating to so many people here. And it took federal money, it took local money, over $1 million, and just about 9.5 to 10 months to fix, to get it ready for the last summer season, which they did. And who would have thunk within 13 months, on 2 separate occasions, 2 separate hurricanes would decimate the boardwalk down here at the Jersey Shore in Spring Lake, Belmar, and Seagirt. That's the situation from here right now. It's going to be a big cleanup as soon as the sun comes up. This is just a scratch of the surface of the damage that we're going to survey here down at the Jersey Shore. It's going to be a massive cleanup effort and a massive rebuilding effort down here, and it's going to cost millions of dollars. I'm Chris Wragge reporting outside our Mobile 2 unit here in Spring Lake, New Jersey at the Jersey Shore. Back to you.
So that was just a little glimpse of what went on for those couple of days at the Jersey Shore, at least. And I can't believe it's been 9 years. I mean, it does bring you right back. But it was that Mobile 2 technology was new at the time. And we promote it. You see the television commercials for it now, and we use it all the time. But back then, we kind of had a dry run with Irene the year before. And then we were in the same location, same results with the boardwalk, some of the area, the infrastructure down in Monmouth and Ocean counties had been destroyed. And Irene was significant, but it was nothing like Superstorm Sandy. So when we were back a year later, they had done all the repairs. The boardwalk, where it had been fractured in points, was basically back to normal and in perfect condition. And when we went there, they said, look, this is going to be twice as bad as last year, so just be on the lookout. So this Mobile 2 unit, the technology, what it allowed us to do back then was, instead of having the satellite dish where you see on all the live trucks, no one else, no other stations, whether it was a network or a local station, could broadcast during this thing. So we had rolled out this Mobile 2. As I said, we tried it the year before, worked pretty well. We made some adjustments, some additions, some improvements, and it worked beautifully. And it allowed us to broadcast right through when the winds were blowing 80 miles an hour right on the coastline in Seagirt and Spring Lake and Avon and Bradley Beach. We were able to keep going. All the power was out. So the only light you had was our headlights and some of the fog lights that they had on this unit that were illuminating off the water that had made its way from the beach line onto the street. Everything else was out. Every once in a while, we'd have a police officer, a first responder, who would basically drive by, roll down a window. You guys okay? And we were, and luckily they were great, because in our downtime, which was, we had about 3 hours overnight on that first night as the storm came ashore, we stayed with Spring Lake Fire at the firehouse, got up the next morning back out there. But this, the technology was so incredible back then to be able to watch it all unfold. And we were on Ocean Road, which was the road right there adjacent, runs parallel to the beach. And early on in the evening, the ocean water had, breached the coastline there. It had come over, and we were driving through water. Luckily, we were not, a high-profile vehicle. The wind was battering us around. But at one point, as I mentioned, it was pitch black. We were driving, Eddie Ojeda, my photographer, seated right next to me, and we look to our left, my driver's side, and we see a wave, literally a wave, come and beats the side of the car, pushes us sideways a little, and there's maybe only been one or two other times in my entire life I was that scared. I mean, we were lucky. We were right there at a cross street. We made a quick right turn and got inland by about another 150 yards, because it was at that point I'm like, all right, forget about it.
Yeah,
we got to get in.
You were in danger zone after danger zone, and the thing remarkable about the Mobile 2 unit is you were able to zip in there, give us these live pictures, quite incredible, and then take us to the next town that quickly. Normally with live trucks, you'd have to take down the satellite dish. It would take time, but instead you were able to do it within minutes.
If you had a cell phone signal, it wasn't until the cell towers ran out of their fuel that impeded our broadcast coverage. But they were prepared, so we were okay for probably a good 36 to 48 hours at the Jersey Shore right after the storm had hit. And then we were in different areas. We made our way, back to Manhattan briefly. We were at Gerritsen Beach and Staten Island, which was, utter devastation there. What it did to the homes and the businesses in that area. And, we talk about 9 years later. You can still go to Route 35 down at the Jersey Shore, and there are still these wide gaps of where homes were manaloking. Basically, they retrace the coastline of Manaloking, and that's kind of like the high rent district down there, where homes were just literally up and swept away. It was really incredible to see not only the resiliency of the people. I had people that were contacting me either through social media or coming up to the car and be like, hey, can you check for a house on this street, check for a house on that street, to see how my property's doing, because everyone had been evacuated.